Lord God, to whom all strength belongs, prosper what my hands are not to do for the greater glory of Jerusalem. For now's the time to recover your heritage and to further my plans to crush the enemies arrayed against us. These are the prayers recited by a young woman before carrying out this gruesome scene. The scene portrays two women holding down a man lying on bed as he bleeds himself to death. While one woman is trying to restrain him with both hands, the other is in the midst of beheading him with a sword. This woman is Judith, a biblical heroine who saved the Jewish city of Bethulia from the Assyrian army. As she entered the enemy camp, disguised with the finest garments and jewelry, she successfully caught the attention of the Assyrian general, Holofernes. Enamored by her beauty, he invited her to dine with him, and as he fell asleep drunk later on, Judas slayed his head with the help of her maid. The painting is the portrayal of this exact moment, the two women who work in unison as they put all their strength into the brutal beheading of Holofernes. The story of Judith was a popular topic amongst many artists ranging from Caravaggio, Francisco Goya, and Michelangelo. However, among all the paintings depicting the scene, this piece, known as Judith beheading Holofernes, is one of the most iconic portrayals of the biblical heroine. The artist behind this masterpiece is a woman known as Artemisia Gentileschi. She was an Italian painter during the Baroque period, a time that highly emphasized extravagance and drama into its art and architecture. Her style was highly influenced by the characteristics of this period, more specifically, a technique pioneered by one of the most well-known Baroque painters, Caravaggio. The technique Caravaggio used is known as chiaroscuro, an Italian term for light-dark. It's characterized by the clear tonal contrast of shadow and light, which helps bring volume to the subjects. In Caravaggio's case, he took this technique one step further by painting the background completely black and illuminating the subject as though it was under a bright spotlight. This extreme version of chiaroscuro is known as tenebrism. Artemisia learned this technique from her father, Orazio, who was a follower and friend of Caravaggio. Although she didn't receive any formal education and was illiterate until her 20s, she excelled at painting from a very young age. However, it's not only her talent and skill that brings so much attention to her work. Her life experience is also something that catches the attention of many to this day. When she was 17, Artemisia was physically taken advantage of by Agostino Tassi, a painter and colleague of her father's. After telling her father about the incident, he filed a charge against Tassi, which was followed by a 7-month public trial. According to Artemisia's claim during the trial, Tassi forcefully locked her into a bedroom and tried to violate her. As she struggled to fight back, she did everything in her power to resist him by scratching, pulling, and even throwing the knife towards him. However, despite her effort, she was eventually taken advantage of. On top of the humiliation that came with the public trial, Artemisia was also ordered by the judge to go through torture as a way to tell if she was speaking the truth. She was interrogated with a torture device known as the Sibille, which wrapped cords around one's finger and was tightened in order to cause excruciating pain. As she was tortured, she mentioned, "È vero, è vero, è vero," which translates to, "It is true, it is true, it is true." In addition, during that time, non-consensual advancements had a very different cultural connotation compared to today. Instead of being seen as a violation against an individual, people saw it as reputation damaging and dishonoring towards the family. After the 7-month period, Tassi was eventually found guilty and was exiled from Rome. However, the order was never taken seriously, and Tassi ignored the exile, which showed how he never took his actions seriously from the beginning. After the trial, Artemisia married another artist and moved to Florence. There, she became the first woman to attend Florence's Academy of Design and also gave birth to her daughter. During this time, her career as a painter flourished, and she worked for many notable clients, such as the Medici family. However, even during her success, many believe that the events of the trial continued to affect her. One way in which this can be seen is through her painting. To begin with, Artemisia continued to revisit the story of Judith and Holofernes. Her magnum opus, Judith Beheading Holofernes, is actually a second version of the same composition. Her first version was created when she was 19, a short period after moving to Florence. Several years later, she completed a more refined and polished version of the scene. During her lifetime, she created several more pieces portraying the biblical heroine, such as Judith and her maidservant. In addition, she also continued to depict biblical and mythical heroines who often went through similar experiences. For instance, this is a painting of a woman from ancient Rome named Lucretia. She was taken advantage of by the king of Rome and eventually stabbed herself to death in shame, which is captured in this piece. Another factor to consider is the resemblance between Artemisia and her female characters. When you take a look at the paintings she has created over time, you might realize how each woman looks similar. They have the same facial and even body characteristics. A brown-haired woman with a slightly protruding round chin and a strong, soft body. The resemblance is more obvious when you compare the paintings with her self-portraits. While this similarity may be due to Artemisia using herself as a model, some say that these characters are her alter ego. She may have portrayed herself with Judith in order to take revenge on the moment she was violated, having control over the situation and her own body. In contrast, she also might have portrayed herself as one of the women who went through the horrible act of being taken advantage of, in order to express the disgust, shame, and humiliation that she experienced herself. Next, there are many small hidden details in the painting that hints to how her experience may have affected her art. Looking back to her most iconic piece, you may realize that Judith is wearing a cameo bracelet. Many believe that the figure in the cameo is Artemis, the Greek goddess of hunting, the moon, and virginity. According to Greek legend, Artemis, the daughter of Zeus, took chastity very seriously and remained a virgin for eternity. Even when she was pursued by others, she continued to protect her maidenhood. This characteristic of the goddess may be the reason why she chose her as a bracelet for Judith. Finally, the focal point of the painting, the sword, holds a significant meaning in this piece. Compared to her first version of the composition, the sword is drawn more clearly and is placed in the center axis. It is believed that the sword symbolizes divine strength. In other words, her act of beheading Holofernes and saving her city was a holy act carried out by God.